Get the know-how and the tertiary skills and the development to kind of grow that, which obviously he's growing now and improving and growing all the time. He's still young, right? But yeah, I had a good experience with Gavin.
So I don't want to skip too fast forward, but let me know if there's something you wanted to touch in between this. But so you just joined the Warriors at this point, right? And you won the league. And then was it that next year that we had met and we had all been?
Yeah,
that was when all that happened, right?
Yeah.
So right after this win in the league, you want to walk us through how that next season started, and then maybe how it got to that point where we got as close as we got, right?
Yeah. So towards the next year, obviously we'd qualified for the Champions League and the AFC and stuff, and so the start of that year was super exciting. Playing in the Champions League qualifiers and was a real cool experience. Like I loved that first half of the season was brilliant, and we was doing real well in the league as well. But at that time, Nico Velez was on fire, but he had offers from all over, and I think he'd already decided he was going to be leaving, and it started to kind of go down a little bit from there mid-season. So it weren't quite the same experience, but at the same time, again, I loved parts of it. Amazing experiences in that year. And then towards the end of that year, I had an injury. I broke my skull and my eye sockets and my cheek and my nose, and the whole thing was car crash. And
was tough.
Which was, obviously a difficult experience. I kind of describe it now as like a beautiful nightmare because obviously it was horrific. I wouldn't want to go through it again, but. At the same time, there was a lot of, looking back now, there's a lot of positives and amazing things what came out of that. I guess at the time, obviously, you don't realise that and you don't think that it's the last thing on your mind, right? But
it was that blinking light.
Yeah, I remember. And obviously, you two was both really instrumental in that process for me because I was obviously struggling and I was going through surgery
every day. I'm struggling, Jordan. I'm struggling.
On the struggle bus. So to let everybody know, there was a time period where I was in NS. So during the week, I'd be in camp, but then weekends I'd come back and Jordan opened his home out to me, and I was staying with him when he was playing for Young Lions at the time. And how many surgeries did you have to go through?
I went through like 4 in the space of 4 months on my eye socket and the top of my skull here and the nose. I ended up having like 7 on this left eye has been a nightmare. Yeah, I had bone fragments behind the orbits. They had to take the eye out and refix the orbit and then put an implant in the socket, which was rejected, and so many. But I remember in that process, obviously, you was living with Jordan at the time, and I was like, I don't want to be in Chao-Chu-Kan by myself.
Yeah.
After this surgery, I'm going to stay at Jordan's.
And it was close.
I couldn't see, obviously. I had people at the club helping me, but I just kind of wanted
need some
to be close to Jordan.
Yeah, 100%. So we were in this small apartment, right? 3 of us.
Probably as big as this area right here.
This is living room right
One
here.
bed.
One bed.
Bedroom.
A short couch where like 60% of your body might be able to fit. And that cushion that used to come in clutch.
Yeah.
That one foldable cushion.
From Jerome's place.
Yes.
We took that from there.
So we would be in that on the weekends, and I wanted to ask you, who was more annoying, Jordan's noise or me hogging the sheets sometimes?
It's a toss up. To be honest, I was scared because for people who don't know this, I couldn't see. So obviously I was staying at Jordan's house after a surgery I'd had. The hospital was close there because she was Novena, right?
Yeah.
And the surgery I had was in Orchard. Came over to Jordan's, passed out on the bed, and then obviously Navin's also staying there, sleeping on the same bed. Jordan's on the couch, sleeping on the couch. That's how he is. Always multiple people sleeping in his house. Jordan's on the couch or on the floor. But we were sleeping on the same bed, and Navin was kind of frailing his arms around. Obviously,
I'm not the best sleeper.
Blood all over my face. I'd have stitches everywhere, and I'm kind of laid there, just not wanting to move, looking at the ceiling. And Navin's kind of waking up and frailing his arms around. And I'm like, bro, please just keep the arms. My face is made of chocolate right now. So.
Yeah, I'm not the best person to sleep next to. I used to kick. I need my area.
Yeah.
So, I don't blame you. But I just remember us being out in the living room, and we'd have some aggressive 2K games. Some aggressive games where we're going at it, talking trash, cussing, yelling, and he's in there trying to get his rest for the next surgery.
Yeah.
He'd come out. Just
that was rough. I see you guys
blinking
screaming all night, and I'm like, I think sometimes I just mustered the energy to get off the bed and be like,
yeah, okay.
guys, please, please. Like,
Do the down of it.
I've got surgery in like 4 hours. I need some sleep, please.
Yeah.
My bad.
But looking back, it was good times.
Mm-hmm.
It was good times. Honestly, I was again struggling, right? Like mentally as well, emotionally. I was kind of learning. Like, obviously, football was all I loved, and it was all I knew, and it was becoming quite apparent that I was going to have this. I had this problem which needed immediately addressing and fixing, which was going to make playing difficult for me. Mm-hmm. You know, I had a brain hemorrhage. My brain was bleeding. It was rough. Yeah. So I think physically I was going through this. I'm getting fixed, but the difficult thing for me, a lot of it was mental and emotional.
That was
kind of like, what is that next step, and how is that going to look for me, and you know, how are things going to play out? So it was a difficult process, and I look back on it now and think it was sort of quite a blur, to be honest. So many things going through my mind at that same time. Obviously, initially, I just wanted to be healthy. I just wanted to be able to see and breathe, and that was obviously immediately needed attention. But as I started to recover a little bit and move on, it was kind of that realization of, okay, I need to change direction, or how is this going to look? And that's quite daunting, I think, when you've done something for so long.
Yeah. I mean, 9 years old, right? So
yeah, I was married to the sport. Like,
you made that transition so seamless. I mean, we talk about it all the time when it's just us, and I'm sure we've spoken to you about it, but the way that you were able to not only look this in the face and deal with it in the moment and get it all done, but even in those times, I remember when you started getting a little bit healthier and you could see, and you were already in your notepad working on projects and working on new things, and that was inspiring.
All night.
That was inspiring for me, you know, like to see somebody that in the, like, looking from the outside, you're like, you just it feels like you lost everything that you people think ties you to who you are, right? Like, we talk all the time about how people think you are a football player, that's who you are. Obviously we know we are much more than that, but to have something that big taken away from you and then to transition so seamlessly, was it something that you felt like was just natural, or was it something you had to constantly remind yourself and say, I need to push forward for this? Maybe a mix.
It was a mix of both. I mean, it's kind of within my personality to just want more all the time, and it was kind of a fresh lease of life almost. You know, I think when you're at a point where being strong is your only option, you really see kind of what you're made of, and you know what I mean. It forces you to kind of really come outside your comfort zone and create a new one and keep going, because you have no choice. I had no choice. Like, my, you know, the fact that I wasn't going to be playing anymore, I was injured. It was all sudden, right? So that was kind of taken away from me. I didn't have that choice, but what I did have was I had the choice to react, you know, to how am I going to do that. And so it was almost this kind of desperation / passion, and this fuel that ignited in me to say, like, okay, now I can do whatever I want. You know, I don't have, as much as I love football and it was my life, it's difficult at times. You have these chains on you, in that you are married to the sport, as you know, Jod, right? Yeah. Everything you do around or outside of it, you do on the side. It's almost a hobby. You can never really fully embrace it. And so there's times when I really wanted to pursue other projects, as a business owner, as an entrepreneur, and be creative, and obviously football was a priority. It was my job, and so it was difficult to balance the two. And so at that point, I kind of looked at it as, I've lost something that I've loved forever, and you know, it was my passion and my life, but I've also found this newfound freedom and space mentally to say, okay, I can create now, I can build, I can solve problems. You know, what's that going to look like? And so I just kind of really, as you guys know, I buried myself in it, and I started to kind of come up with just solutions to problems, niches in different markets, different ideas I was marinating on, and just kind of be 100 miles an hour with it, and be aggressive. And luckily, obviously, things have worked out, and again, I'm super blessed from that. But yeah, that was the mindset, really. It was a mix of desperation / okay, now I've got this new lease of life, I can do anything, I can be anything. What's that going to look like? What are we going to do?
And that just about does it for us here at A Single Point of View. So stay tuned for the next episode as we post updates and sneak peeks on our Instagram at Single Point of View. Don't forget it. Also follow us at Single Point of View on YouTube. Stay locked in on all of the full episodes, as well as our short clips of each show. We'd like to thank our podcast sponsors, June, Proform Basketball Academy, and Puma, of course. Also, special shout out to the media manager, Sana, to our logo artist, Alicia Webb, and our advisor/assistant executive producer, Donovan Lang. Peace!
In due time, babe, it's me and you time. From sunrise till the depths of moonlight. It's your world, but you're still a star, girl. And if you stay by my side, I swear to do right.